3% of games banned away, and also Lee Sin taken away here. Impaler, of course, really favouring that Lee Sin last week. In fact, played him in 2 out of 4 games. His other jungler was Elise in the 2 games as well.
That was also 2 games for Airwax. Airwax also played Lee Sin after his Yorick game very early on, and he's not going to get his hands on that Lee Sin today.
Oh, Evelyn taken out from the jungle, but that leaves the Rat still in play, and it's going to be picked up by Woolite. Both me and you obviously casted Woolite playing for Denial when it came to the Challenger playoffs, and he was phenomenal when he got his hands on the Rat. That could be dangerous for the Super Hawk.
I think it is dangerous. Twitch is probably the most sought after AD carry at the moment. Mr. Rolls does have options. He is probably the strongest mechanical player on Super Hawk crew, and he can run the option of going with Illusion plus an aggressive support to try for that 2v2. Alternatively, he's also one of the only players in the EU LCS running Draven on a regular basis. He played it once last week, did pick himself up a win, and does very well. So we'll see who and what Mr. Rolls and the rest of the team decides to lock in to counter the Rat.
So the other side here then for the Super Hawk crew, Shyvana picked up. Funnily enough, the only loss that they recorded last week to Millennium was a game where they didn't have Shyvana. All 3 wins had Shyvana in the top lane for Mima. Successful pick for them. I already talked about the fact that Impaler has played Evelyn in there with the Elise as well, and that was actually a win against SK Gaming where he had the Elise in the jungle.
Just from a stats perspective, very quickly, Mima in his 3 games had a 7.3 KDA on that Shyvana, and over for Elise, 1 win, 1 loss, Impaler recorded a 5.8 KDA. So if you just look from a statistical standpoint, these are great numbers for the Super Hawk crew. It's comfort picks, it's picks that they can find kills with and take part in team fights very effectively. It is also 2 champions that can make it to the backline onto a Twitch. Dragon's Descent and Repel are tools that you can use to get that Twitch down, and if they can jump to the Twitch, that could be the way to win a team fight.
On the other side, Leona locked in for Unlimited. If we look back to his picks so far, he has played himself 2 games on Leona, also 2 games on Zyra as well, but it will be Leona this time, and also taking Ziggs for the middle lane. Another champion which has been hotly contested around the place. This, though, for the Super Hawk crew could be very interesting. I'm not expecting to see Misfortune Vel'Koz, that's for sure.
I'm definitely not, although the amount of damage from the Lifeform Disintegration Ray and the bullet time is going to be very, very damaging. Not going to happen, though.
You almost forgot the easy one out.
I know, I got so excited about Lifeform Disintegration Ray. But the one thing I do want to touch on is just how much power there is in Disengage here from Kautar. He's on a super comfort pick. Ziggs is was one of the priority mid laners, still features a lot in the European LCS, and if Kautar gets any sort of lead, the bouncing bombs and the minefields can completely dissuade any Super Hawk crew team fight. It also gives Copenhagen Wolves a great way to defend towers, both aggressively and defensively in the early, mid, and late game.
So on the other side then, the bottom duo is going to be locked in here for the Super Hawk crew. Of course, the Wolves took theirs as the first and second pick. For the Super Hawk crew, it's Thresh and Lucian, 2, I would say, big champions when you look at We Will Failure and Mr. Rolls as champion pools.
It's the default Wifesteal bottom lane. I mean, we've seen so much Thresh and Lucian all the time throughout the LCS. It's a comfortable pick for Mr. Rolls. He played it 3 games last week, as we've touched on. We Will Failure put up a good performance on Thresh. I liked his death sentences. Yeah. I liked his lantern ganks, and I feel like positionally, he did a good job at putting his box down. The scary thing is, can he do it against the comp now with this Ziggs, who is going to control him and push him back and bully him around? We'll see how he impacts and affects the Copenhagen Wolves.
So for the Wolves then, how are they going to finish off? Yorick in the jungle for Airwax. We've already seen it, this split once already. That was their first game of the split actually against Alliance. 0-3-7 Airwax finish with that one. Also Vladimir coming in for Youngbok, another recurring champion pick for him. The loss against Fnatic ended up with no kill, 6 deaths to his name and a single assist.
I'm not a big fan of what the Copenhagen Wolves have done. They've gone for another double AP comp. We've seen them running it last week as well. There's not a lot of natural innate synergy between the comps. Ziggs and Vlad want to, Ziggs wants to poke people from a distance. Leona wants to go all in. Vlad wants to pull underneath everybody, and Twitch wants to spray and pray over them. If they hit everything together, let's say you get a Solar Flare into a Mega Inferno Bomb, into the Hemo Plague and the Rat-a-tat-tat, yes, that will be great. But the possibility of that happening against a mobile Thresh, mobile Elise, mobile Shyvana is going to be very difficult to pull off. So for me, the Copenhagen Wolves need to look for skirmishes. For me, the Copenhagen Wolves need to stick together in 2s and 3s, force Super Hot Crew to play the skirmish game, and then simply outplay them with the damaging abilities and the range that Copenhagen Wolves will have. The final lock-in for the Super Hot Crew is going to help counterbalance that range poke of Ziggs, and it's going to be the Nidalee for Selfie. So it's another champion that we're seeing him add to his repertoire in the summer split. 5 games, 5 different champions.
Yeah.
And I like the synergy. If you get poked from Nidalee down, you can have support from Elise, from Shyvana, from Thresh. They also have disengage and engage potential. So I think Super Hot Crew's a little more well-rounded. But if Copenhagen Wolves hits everything perfectly, they can melt the Super Hot Crew.
Also, the problem for Youngbuck in a solo lane here as well is that how are you ever going to gank someone with a Yorick coming out of the jungle? He's definitely not his strong point as a jungler is ganking. Doesn't really have much to work with. No real hard CC. Of course, at least you've got to rely on landing the cocoon, but you've got the gap closer there with your jump as well, with your repel. Very, very interesting from this one here for the Copenhagen Wolves. Obviously feeling like those champion picks that they had before and weren't successful with still have a very real possibility of working out.
Airwax is very comfortable on this Yorick. If he gets into a situation where he can counter jungle, something Defisher and I were talking about earlier in the day, he can deal with those 1v1 junglers, but as you've highlighted, weak ganks means it's going to be on the other laners to make their presence felt.
Well, picks and bans are complete, so did you guys change your mind at all about this matchup? Let us know. Tweet to us with hashtag CWWin or hashtag SHCWin, and we'll track your votes to see what you think. Figure that one out. It was a very close vote from LOLesports.com.
It really was. 63 to 37. It was not exactly, defining. But I do want to say that I think the Copenhagen Wolves have an advantage in the Twitter vote because there's this one character less. So theoretically, more people should be able to vote more frequently because of having to type one less character.
I'm not sure that's how it really works. I'll be honest with you. We'll find out, though, because I'll be coming up here in just a little while. We're going to get into game for our second match of Week 2 here in the European LCS Summer Split. It's the Copenhagen Wolves taking on the Super Hot Crew.
Now, there is one thing that I do want to touch on when we do get to these mid to late game team fights. If Airwax finds himself in a position where he can put down that Omen of Death on Kautard or Woolite or Youngbuck, those are all champions that can do pretty well. Once they have levels, once Vlad gets some CDR, if you get that Ghost, that second chance to put damage down, you could potentially turn team fights more so on that Twitch than anyone else. Either way, Super Hot Crew with a very strong level 1. They've grouped up. It's yellow trinkets all down the board, and it does look like they're going to be invading the Wolves jungle.
Oh, we will fail us. Saw that ward coming down. They put one down in the brush, and the Copenhagen Wolves, well, they've got Unlimited there, who can just literally double auto attack that one to get rid of it. So nicely done there from the Wolves in terms of position. There was a ward put over into the red buff as well. There's the vote. It's definitely swung here a little bit. 71% to the Super Hot Crew. It was 80-something just a second ago. So we have some Wolves fans going in. You were right, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. I told you. You can get more typing outs. I do want to just quickly highlight that at the level 1, you notice Unlimited put a point into his Q, the Shield of Daybreak. So Mr. Riles and We Will Fail already had a lane advantage with their setup. Lucian and Thresh will do much better up until level 6 than a Twitch and a Leona. Now that they know the level 1 ability, I'd love to see Mr. Riles and We Will Fail going in for more poke, going in for more harass. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen because it looks like a lane swap will be taking place. So another red side duo lane heading top for today in Week 2.
And Unlimited Woolite then will be left in the bottom side of the map, and because of those switches, we are seeing, at least on the Super Hot Crew side of things, that Mima will be just going in with his old buddy Impaler in the jungle, trying to soak up as much experience as he can in that jungle area rather than going straight into his lane. A little bit different on the other side, though. We see actually Youngbuck went straight into the lane, instantly pretty much recalling out of this one, though, and he's going to go and join Airwax.
Yeah, this is a little unfortunate for Youngbuck. He's missed out on some experience and shared experience, rather. So already putting himself in the back foot. Vladimir is a champion that we know takes a while to scale, but we're going to see buff trades. So red buff secured for each of their respective teams on their side of the jungle. And because of the duo lanes and the way the duo lanes have set themselves up, it does mean each team will steal their opponent's blue buff. So nothing really gained, but nothing really lost in this trade as far as the junglers are concerned. Youngbuck, tiny bit behind. It does look like Super Hot Crew have the option to go for that 4v0 push in the top lane, and the same option is available to the Wolves. So we're going back to this buddy system, 4v0 for the time being.
See who comes out on top of that one. Mima and Impaler just waiting in the tri-bush until that wave is pushed up in position and they can start dealing damage to that tower. Same thing happening on the bottom side of the map as Airwax just waiting out of range. He's going to throw Ghoul down, which will literally offer them nothing whatsoever because the minion wave wasn't quite there. But the attacks have started. The Super Hot Crew already working on the one turret. The Wolves doing exactly the same, mirrored on the other side of the map.
The interesting question is who calls their opponent's bluff first? At which point do we see champions recalling? Since the previous patch, all outer turrets have 30 damage reduction from champion onto attacks or from champion damage for the first 7 minutes of the game. So there's no actual advantage to pushing bottom or pushing top in this particular trade. Impaler's the first one to recall from the top lane, that's the jungler, and we'll notice it's Youngbuck recalling from the bottom lane. Towers should be traded pretty evenly. I'm expecting that top one to go down. Yes, just denying as many creeps as possible. Yep. And at the moment, no further team pushing.
No further pushes from that one. The recalls came in from the Super Hot Crew to send 2 men down that bottom side. Leaves us tied up 1-1 in turrets overall. The junglers, with that, not had any pressure in the other lanes, which has left Coutard and Selfie to just be farming up inside of the middle area. Both of them starting out Doran's Ring and Pots from this one. It's Coutard that has a minute lead over Selfie.
Yeah, I think I want to give a little bit of props to the Copenhagen Wolves because it looked like they reacted to that 4v0 push. And it was Super Hot Crew that had initiated it. It was pretty clear from Mima and Impaler's movements through the jungle and across the map that that was their goal and their objective. They pulled it off. Even though Youngbuck lost a tiny bit super early on, it's not exactly like it's game-changing. So Copenhagen Wolves did fairly well to read that situation. And what I really like is Super Hot Crew have planned their first 5 minutes of gameplay against a team who are famed in the EU LCS for doing the best lane swaps. Copenhagen Wolves are oftentimes touted as having the best 2v1s, the best rotations early on. So Super Hot Crew have instantly pushed the Wolves off their comfort and forced them into responding, which they're not used to doing at this stage of the game.
All right, just getting locked up by the cocoon there for a little second, but Super Hot Crew weren't following through either way. Not too much danger for them, especially now that Airwax has come across. That leaves us in a 3 versus 3 as the hook comes in. Airwax going to take a lot of damage. Unlimited dives into the middle of them as well. This is a lot of damage across 2 members of the Copenhagen Wolves. Have they got the damage to finish off though? No. Airwax just walks away back to his turret. That may leave the Copenhagen Wolves a little bit unable to defend this tower though. We'll have to see.
Yeah, the question is, what does Airwax do at the moment? He's down on HP, down on mana, wasn't forced to blow his flash, and even though that was a good death sentence from We Will Failure, the Flay wasn't necessarily the strongest, so unfortunately, Super Hot Crew can't get themselves in the tower. The biggest thing to note is that Lucian, being played by Mr. Rawls, is getting the solo XP and solo farm in the top lane against Youngbuck's Vladimir. Because Vladimir is not particularly strong in the opening stages of the game, there's no pressure or presence for We Will Failure to be there to babysit him and protect him. So I think there's a smart play for Super Hot Crew to get their carry in a strong position at this early on.
Good read from Coutard there though to back away from that mid-section of the mid lane. I say good read, and he's in the end still got a lot of damage coming his way. Spear lands as well, but it's not got the damage with just that single Doran's Ring in there that they would have needed to finish off the kill. Either way, good damage, forces him away after using his ultimate as well. Is this a time to go for Dragonflame? They don't, of course, have their AD carry around though.
So with a champion like Elise, you can juggle the tower aggro between your Spiderlings if you have the support of the rest of your team. But I think without an AD carry, it becomes very, very risky. The dragon deals percentage HP to the champions that it's attacking, and that is very, very difficult to deal with, especially when you consider there could be an ambush coming in, there could be bouncing bombs, depending how quickly Coutard gets back. So I think it was a smart play at the end of the day to not run that risk.
Leaves the Copenhagen Wolves, though, slightly ahead in this game. 400 or so gold is the total for them, coming from the lead in the CS that they have, which is Youngbuck 30 to 19 CS over Mima. Mid lane, not really much of a difference there, especially after Selfie just sent Coutard back packing, and although he's coming back now into that bottom lane, into that mid lane, the AD carries is where the biggest difference though between them is going to be lying, although that is not really much of a difference either.
It's not massive right now. Mr. Rawls is actually behind his opponent, even though he's had a solo lane, even though he's been relatively unpressured by Young Bucks Vladimir. He's a couple CS down. Now, we're not exactly painting a too bad of a picture because there's only 3 or 4 CS, right? But the cost is that Mime has only recently got himself some levels and got himself some experience. Vlad was pulling further ahead, but I think this is going to even itself out, and we'll see how Super Hot Crew handle themselves. I'm anticipating We Will Failure to join Mr. Ralls now that we're hitting these level 6s and now that we're getting the potential for Airwax to come for those ganks.
I also saw that We Will Failure now will head towards Dragon. Is it just for vision right now? It certainly looks that way. There is a sweeper on 3 men for the Super Hot Crew. Sadly for them, all of them are on cooldown right now. As they throw a ward into the death brush of their own. They'll lose a pink ward though for the trade on that one, and the Wolves already in position here for a better hold on the Dragon.
Mime teleported to the top lane, so if the Super Hot Crew want to force Dragon, they've communicated this terribly, because Mime just TP'd not 20 seconds before they made a move towards the Dragon Pit. Young Buck's got his TP available, and it's going to come down to ranged poke. If Coutard or Selfie get better bombs or javelins on their opponents, then there is engaged potential. But it's all going to depend on that long-range Q. Selfie is a little out of range, and Copenhagen Wolves will have to do this one 4v4, potentially 4v5 if Young Buck joins the fights.
Going to go to half HP. Airwax taking all the damage here, and the bomb not really doing anything. Impaler actually will repel out of the damage of that one. Woolite using Pray and Spray at the front, which is not even called that anymore, but you get the picture. And now Mr. Roz will be chased away from it. He is headed back to his inner turret in that bottom lane, will in fact get behind it. The ghoul's not enough to stop it. Either way, that Dragon didn't go down amongst all of that one, and the Super Hot Crew have managed to fight for position.
Yeah, they've defended it off. Now the Copenhagen Wolves are trying to make the best of a bad position. That's a flash on We Will Failure.
Oh, Counter getting the Sunlight heal from Woolite as well, but I'm not sure it's enough for him to actually escape, but that's some good damage back. Impaler does manage to get the kill. He's got the ultimate in there as well. Now they want Airwax. First blood did come down as We Will Failure gets another one, and this is a whitewash. The Super Hot Crew picking up 3 kills. They come back straight up and take a Dragon as well.
Absolutely perfect execution from the Super Hot Crew to punish the Copenhagen Wolves over-investment. Not only did you see Leona moving away from the team fight, this is a 4v3. Young Buck decides not to teleport in. He had it available the whole time. Unlimited can't offer anything from this range, and he's only got 300 HP. So coming back into this fight this late in the game was a poor decision. Copenhagen Wolves chased Mr. Rahl so aggressively earlier on that is what cost them all of those kills. It cost them the Dragon, and it's given Super Hot Crew a great lead this early on.
The kills fall in, 2 of them to We Will Failure, funnily enough, which will put him a little bit ahead of his opposite number. A couple of assists in there for the AD carry, 3 for Selfie in that mid lane as well. The top laners, of course, remaining pretty quiet through all of that, and they continue to farm their way up in this top lane. Youngbuck now reaching that fabled level 9 point with Vladimir, where he's going to be feeling a lot more comfortable. That could still be nullified here though if Impaler gets in the right position. Youngbuck actually going to come around the side. Airwax is trying to get in as well to help, and Impaler was spotted, I think, early enough to stop this from happening.
Yeah, there's enough wards as well that Airwax and Impaler are aware of one another's positions. And Copenhagen Wolves just feeling the pressure of that early game, feeling forced to make a play. Airwax chased so aggressively on Mr. Riles, and now he needs to make up for it. And that was what we talked about. The ganking power of a Yorick is not particularly strong. He couldn't hold a Super Hot Crew member down long enough to get a kill. But you can't deny the fact that Airwax on Yorick will offer more in a team fight. He can get down those different omens, the W, which I believe is the Omen of Pestilence, which will slow down his opponents in an AoE. And if he can use a good Omen of Death, like I said on Rulite, maybe Counter, that can turn team fights. But unfortunately, Copenhagen Wolves need to get in a position where they are together for that to even be relevant or to matter.
Yeah, Counter was already running away when he got his ultimate from Airwax that last time, and weren't really able to do anything with the ghost of him. Meanwhile, the Super Hot Crew here gonna go deep to try and get some wards out. That's a strong spear onto Airwax, will take away half of his health. And they tried to get the ghoul down there to give him the protection from it, but a little bit too slow on the reactions. Actually, only one single ward being put down by the Super Hot Crew, and now they start to move towards the mid lane with a big team of 4.
I want to give some props to Selfie. He's farming very effectively against Counter on Ziggs on a champion like Nidalee, who needs some time to get effective at farming, especially if you want that wave clear. So pretty good job up until this stage of the game, and he is landing some of those crucial javelins. From the Dragon Pit to landing it on Airwax at the red buff, etc. And Selfie's going to need to keep doing that because he doesn't have AoE to play with. Unfortunately for Coutard, forced to use that Mega Inferno Bomb just for wave clear. And it will defend the tower, to be fair. So, you know, props to him for succeeding in that little play.
Super Hot Crew looking maybe here for a steal on the red buff. Airwax knows that they're there. They saw the ward coming into the red buff pit itself as the Solar Flare used onto Selfie. Unlimited's gone in, but honestly, there was no follow-up there from the Wolves. Woolite had flanked around from the bottom lane, but still they were unable to do anything with it. There is the red buff smited away by Airwax, so they keep a hold of that.
That was very brave play from the Super Hot Crew. Mima did not have his teleport. Mr. Rolls was nowhere near. That was a 3 versus 4, and the Super Hot Crew's confident play forced Copenhagen Wolves to smite that red buff, so it's not in Woolite's hands, which is what they wanted it to be. So, aggressive play by Super Crew, they get away from it, get away with it this time, but I do think they need to be a little careful, be a little wary, because if Copenhagen Wolves have been able to turn, maybe if that Solar Flare had been used on multiple members of Super Hot Crew instead of just Selfie, that could have been a lot scarier, that could have been a lot riskier.
Oh, Youngbuck's getting hammered here in the top lane. Mima going very aggressive onto him. The pull will be used. Youngbuck used his ultimate as well, but he took a lot more damage than he was really expecting there. That Cutlass coming in handy for Mima. Airwax a little bit slow to react. Impaler also not the quickest to get involved, and it seems like quite a few of them were caught off guard by quite how much damage he was able to do. Meanwhile, Coutard here in the mid lane going to be under a bit of pressure as WeWolfAiler comes around as well, but he gets back to the safety, or is it safety behind that tower with Impaler hanging around? Looks that way, he's headed south.
So Moby Boots on WeWolfAiler, thanks in part to the 2 kills he secured earlier in the game. He's obviously got his Sightstone and that Targon's Brace that he's working towards, the face of the mountain rather he's working towards. But what I like about his play is from very early on, WeWolfAiler has been in a position to help the bigger picture of his team. He was helping Mima earlier on defend against the duo lane of Copenhagen Wolves. Mr. Rolls hasn't needed babysitting, so WeWolfAiler has been roaming and pushing around the map. He was there for the dragon fight. He flashed over and started it. He's there for the red buff steal. Was the threat of death sentence was good. Now Copenhagen Wolves Solar flares up, and they hold the trigger, don't decide to go in. Even though Woolite is now at the point he wants to be with that Blade of the Rune King, you can start assassinating people.
We'll see if he can get in a position to do that one though. Mr. Rolls is up until now not being called out, but that's kind of easy to fall away from and forget about when there's a Twitch on the other team who all of a sudden appears right next to you or behind you in worst cases. But it's Mr. Rolls that's controlling that lane, and now the Super Hot Crew are moving in for their second tower kill of the game. Unlimited and Woolite the 2 to try and hold it as the bomb is going to come through. That will do damage to literally no one apart from wiping out the minion wave.
So defending the towers again. Coutard is forced to defend with his abilities instead of sieging, because of the fact that Yorick offers very little presence in lane. Leona needs big team fights to offer presence, and Youngbuck on Vlad has been non-existent. He's had the teleport available, but has not used it for any sort of team-based play at this stage in time. That was a great lantern, and that is why I like WeWolfAiler on Thresh. He does seem to have all of the right things down at the right time.
That may just give them any control on that dragon that's just spawned into it, just coming live in this game. Scan is already down, but they can't finish off that second one. Leaves the Super Hot Crew in a great position. The bomb is down from Coutard. They can't go and use that here to try and steal Dragon away. Actually, the Super Hot Crew moving into the jungle once again. So
we'll need to see how Super Hot Crew handle the engage. The last Dragon was a little risky. I do also want to highlight the fact that Airwax does not have a GP10 jungle item. It's a little later pointed out, but he's gone tier into Phage. Now, we do have both teams setting up. Unlimited is going to open with a Solar Flare. They're all grouped up.
Yeah, he's managed to get this low onto 3 of them there at the side. He's going to go low, and there we see Woolite hooked in. He's going to surely fall from this one. Did have the ultimate on him though, so he's going to be able to come back, do some damage if he can get into position. Flashes coming out left and right in this. Mima will be slowed down. Woolite trying to chase in as Airwax gets himself the double, and just like that, a 2-for-1 fight in favor of the Copenhagen Wolves.
Very good teleport coming out of Youngbuck to join the Copenhagen Wolves. Unlimited took so much focus from the members of the Super Hot Crew that it gave Youngbuck and Coutard time to position correctly. Unlimited was even able to back away very early on. And, you know, as you pointed out, Woolite just untouched. The key thing to notice is how much time Super Hot Crew spent on trying to kill Unlimited. Coutard's going to zone away Mr. Rolls in the backline, and Airwax and Youngbuck are just going to tear through. I mean, that's Impaler. He burst down so quickly, thanks to the damage amplification of that Sanguine pool. And I think very good focus from the members of the Wolves onto the key targets in that team fight. Got themselves a Dragon, I believe, after that fight as well. So gold, only 1,000 difference between the teams.
A little bit sloppy by the Super Hot crew as well. We saw it. Mr. Rolls completely outdone when it came to positioning in that fight, and they'll go down for the first time in this game. 0-1-3, he currently sits to the 0-1-1 of Woolite, who himself, I don't want to say out of position, he got hooked in the end. We Will Failure pulled him straight through into the box. We should note as well that teleport by Mima is off cooldown now, so he can get involved should needed. Yeah,
the one thing that I like about Mima having his TP available, Super Hot crew have the advantage if they force a team fight. You know, put Youngbuck in a position where he's where he's defending a tower, where you know where he is in lane, and all of a sudden, if you're a Super Hot crew member, you can go for that tower dive with Elise and with Thresh, and you can try set something up. Look, they've caught Airwax, they've got the Cocoon, they've gone in!
Bomb coming down, Airwax still survives that one though, and they're calling with the spear a lot of damage at maximum range onto Unlimited and to Airwax, but it's not enough to finish them off. Will it be enough to force them away from the turret? They need to be careful of Woolite, who tried to flank around there from the Dragon side, but was spotted out by a ward.
Mima can flank as well. He's got a lot of tankiness with his Dragon's Descent form, and he's going to have the Lantern to fall back on, as well as a massive heal from Nidalee. So he's pulled some attention of the members of the Wolves, and the rest of Super Hot crew have actually put their focus on the blue buff instead of trying to get to the tower. I guess breaking through a Ziggs defense is always going to be very difficult. The one thing I also would like to highlight is the fact that Super Hot crew are just moving as a 5-man unit. So it does amplify the power of Unlimited on Leona. As long as Unlimited gets a good solar flare, there are too many targets that need to be lanterned for the Super Hot crew to disengage effectively. And it's going to be all on We Will Failer's box to help turn the fight.
The Lantern once again being called into use as Selfie was being attacked by Woolite. In the end, not masses of damage, especially against a Nidalee who can just heal through most of that, almost with that Rabadon's death camp now complete. Meanwhile, Mr. Riles once again backing off to just solo things up. We saw him very early on in the game, left solo in the top lane. That's helped him really get started. He continues that trend now, 180 to 150 CS. They are going to dive for this one. Mima are actually going to put down the pressure, and Airwax is being hit by the tower. That was frankly horrible from the Copenhagen Wolves.
It really was. Mima's got that red buff. Now he's going to look to chase down Youngbuck, and he's going to run him down.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Your turret is down behind you. Youngbuck here will pull away from it. Mima not looking to chase too deep on that one, but horribly, woefully executed by the Copenhagen Wolves. Lose them a man. And there was Mr. Alda that I talked about earlier, not just farming, but getting another tower here for the Super Hot crew.
The Super Hot crew need to try find those picks in order to grab towers. Because they are fighting against the Ziggs, in order for them to successfully siege, they need to force Counter to back away and know that he doesn't have his ultimate available. Luckily, they have Nidalee Spears as well as Death Sentence from Thresh to try and make that happen. But you'll notice the Super Hot crew have just been dancing around this mid tower over and over and over, getting deep wards in the blue and the red buff area of the Wolf jungle, because it's next to impossible to just get past that wave clear of Ziggs. So I think it's difficult for the Super Hot crew, even though they're landing the CC. Look, there's nobody to chase. That was a good spear.
That was a fantastic spear, and Counter using his satchel even to get even further away from danger. Selfie and the rest of Super Hot crew outside of Mima, of course, who's in the top lane now, moving in towards that middle turret. They've put a lot of focus on this one. Still not being able to get in there as Youngbuck throws down his ultimate onto Mima. He's going to have to try and back away from it. The Blade of the Ruin King coming up here in just a second. There's the ultimate used. The slow is enough. Not quite, because he flashes in to get the final hit. 1v1, Mima coming out on top.
That's the third or fourth time we've seen that.
Oh, well, that's there. He's dead.
Damn it, I was just about to praise you, Mima. You silenced me in my tracks.
I mean, Woolite's invisible, so you can't really give him too much for that.
Come on, he was in the right place, but touche. That is what Woolite has been needing to do for a while. He's been farming himself up, but he's 40 CS down on Mr. Riles because Woolite has been caught in this defensive mode. Super Hot crew have invaded the Copenhagen Wolf jungle many, many times over the course of the last few minutes, and that has just meant Woolite has had less time to farm unimpeded. So Mr. Rolls in a pretty good place. Woolite's going to grab the kill and the tower, and Mr. Rolls is going to get even more CS thanks to that large minion wave that got pushed into his face.
Yeah, should have even frozen it there and just soaked everything up from Woolite, which would have punished him even further. However, that wave just pretty much auto-attack straight down. Mr. Rolls didn't want to hang around and sit farming in that top lane, although his need is significant as he works up towards a Trinity Force. That was a max-range cocoon to stop Airwax recalling.
Very confident cocoon from Impaler. He's landing the important ones. He's going to need to keep doing that. I feel that for Copenhagen Wolves to win a team fight, there's going to be so much importance on Unlimited locking up multiple members with that solar flare. I feel that if it doesn't, the tools that Super Hot Crew have at their disposal with Thresh, with Shyvana, with Release, should give them some room to play with. But we'll see how it plays out, because the last big dragon fight did go the way of the Wolves. Mima will be around for this one, and it looks like Super Hot Crew got superior vision and superior positioning, but they may not want to run the risk of giving up a big objective to a Ziggs bomb. They made that mistake last week. They gave up Baron to a fantastic Kerp Mega Inferno bomb, and I'm not expecting them to run the risk of that happening again.
Soraz is away from the rest of the team, though. That might give him a chance on this outer turret in the mid lane, although the wave clear proving a little strong for them right now, and the danger of selfish spears combined with a cocoon and even that death sentence out of We Will Fail going to be a continuing problem for them. And there are the spears. Airwax losing almost half of his health. There's a pink ward there already for the Super Hot Crew, which will clear out vision. Is that the signal to go for Dragon? I think so. The Copenhagen Wolves not anywhere near it, but as you mentioned, Kautard has his ultimate.
There's no vision. It would need to be a blind steal, and I don't think he's even going to risk it. No, not this time. So secure Dragon, thanks in very large part to Selfie landing a good javelin toss. And Copenhagen Wolves didn't want that. They made absolutely no moves to signal they were looking to challenge, and it just feels like the Wolves are relying on this passive play. Vladimir's going to get stronger and stronger. Ziggs is going to have superior wave clear the longer this game goes. So as long as Vlad and Ziggs do well in team fights in the late game, there may be enough just burst damage from the two of them plus the Rat-a-tat-tat to just win a team fight. But unfortunately they are behind, so they're going to be relying on those AoE abilities to help make up for that deficit in items and gold.
So Wolves here going for it. There is a solar flare. It lands onto Impaler, who takes the lantern instantly as he drops down from the rappel. Really well done, and that just alleviates a lot of pressure with solar flare down for now.
Yeah, Super Hot Crew definitely will not fail here with that lantern. They've caught Kautard!
They've caught Kautard, and he won't be as lucky. He will be destroyed by Selfie in the end, and I think that opens up finally this turret. They've been playing a tug-of-war game on that area of the map for such a long time now, and with another spear, they have to be careful that they don't lose two towers.
Yeah, Woolite's going to try to assassinate, but he can't take on 3 or 4. He's gone for Selfie.
Oh, Selfie walking off to the side of the rest of his team. The heal comes through, but he's lost vision of him. The rest of the team came around as well, and just not enough damage there to finish off. We will fail using flash and the exhaust in that one, what I fear for this turret.
Yeah, the turret can't be defended unless Youngbuck goes for an all-in. There's not the greatest wave clear without Kautard being there, and thanks to a brilliant death sentence from We Will Fail onto Kautard, they grab 2 towers. Super Hot Crew are going to look to keep doing that for the lost inner turrets, get some deep vision, play from the sidelines, play from the wolf camp, play from the white camp, look for a spear, and then follow it up for the tower. It took a long time. Super Hot Crew spent 10 or so minutes in that middle lane, and they're starting to get to the point where now Vladimir is getting more and more terrifying. So Super Hot Crew have to be very careful not to underestimate the damage and the presence that they're going to have.
Oh, Impaler going to get slowed down here. We'll have the option of a repel or a flash, but the poison really hammering away at him. Summon a heal was used in the end by Mr. Rals to keep his teammate alive. This turret's surely going to go down with this wave, though.
Yeah, very good ward coverage there from the Wolves. Committed, got the flash out of Impaler and the heal. Grab themselves the tower as well, so pretty good. They've caught Kautard!
Oh, Kautard getting hooked in. That's terrible for him. Ultimate used out of Airwax very prematurely. Also, we did see the ultimate out of Vladimir as well. That won't be a kill brought in as the repel is used by Impaler to get away from the rat inside of his own jungle.
Yeah, Kautard needs to dodge those death sentences. He's been too far forward. Woolite's going to sidestep the javelin toss, but no tower pressure yet as the rest of Supa Crew have responded well to this engage. Look for We Will Failure. He's trying to get in position. Got a very, very high amount of movement speed. Gone for the Alacrity Boots enchantment on top of those Boots of Mobility. So that's an interesting upgrade, because once you get into team fights, obviously that bonus movement speed from the mobility has disappeared. Alacrity is going to help circumvent that, going to help still keep you a little more relevant and a little more mobile. So I like the pickup, and We Will Fail has definitely done a lot for his team in this first 30 minutes of the game.
Let's have a look at the overall picture here, because it's been a chaotic tug-of-war game, as he said, in that mid lane up until now. We're not too far away from the half-an-hour point in our second match of the week, with the Copenhagen Wolves behind on gold right now to the Super Hot Crew. 4-3 in turrets. The Super Hot Crew lead this one, and a strong lead in terms of gold as well. About 5,000 for the Super Hot Crew that they're currently sat on. The Wolves need to do some legwork, let's call it, here in the next minutes.
Yeah, I agree with you, but they do always have that power of Ziggs. Supa Hot Crew have taken so long just to get a single tower in that middle lane that it now becomes even more difficult, because you don't have as many angles to play from when you get to the inner turrets and then the inhibitor turrets. So in order for Supa Hot Crew to actually get towers and actually win this game, they're almost forced to find picks, and Woolite's caught We Will Fail.
There is the rat coming through. Blade of the Ruin King going to be used. The Solar Flare will join as well. It's actually Coutard in the end that picks himself up. The first kill of the match for him.
So unfortunate for We Will Fail just to get caught out, but that is what I think Woolite should have been doing maybe earlier on. He had the Blade of the Ruin King available. Supa Hot Crew were roaming around the map so much that there was the opportunity. And I still feel like the Copenhagen Wolves can pull this gold deficit back. They've got the champion composition that can make it work, but they've just got to be very, very, very careful in those big 5v5s. Because if they do commit to a full-on 5v5 and just get out-positioned by Shyvana and Elise, and they lose, for example, Woolite, it's going to be quite difficult for Coutard to stay alive and keep everyone away from him. So, small gold lead now. 5,000 was much bigger 10 minutes ago. 30 minutes, it's much less impressive. And also key to note, Airwax, without that GP10, is about 1,000 gold down, thanks to the 20-odd CS and thanks to not having that bonus gold. But he's starting to get a pretty good collection of items.
Also worried for the fact that there's going to be two Woolites if the Copenhagen Wolves play this one right. There's more Baron control being worked in, and you know, we talk about going to the late game, and both of these teams in the past have shown that they are not scared of running a game longer than, well, a lot of us believe that they really should. A lot of the time we were watching the Super Hot Crew's game back from last week that went on for, I think, 56 minutes or so, wondering at some points, why aren't they moving in for this one? What is the problem in a lot of these positions? Obviously, they were on the defending side of that one. They had the chances to come back in. They're not scared of running out to those late game compositions, but the fact is that Airwax with Woolite, that combo alone is going to be a problem. And there's the bomb that's going to zone them completely away from the Dragon Pit. Solar Flare coming through as well, but they've managed to hook in Airwax. Is he going to go down? He uses the ultimate on himself. He will die out in the end. And that's the other problem. We were talking about two Woolites. If he has to use his ultimate like that, it doesn't matter.
No, you're not going to get the maximum efficiency. Box is still available. If Supa Hot Crew want Dragon, they can go for it. They run the risk of losing their inner turret. Dragon has been dropped very, very quickly. Remind me to talk about Mima split pushing in a few minutes. We'll see how Supa Hot Crew handle this. Because they killed Dragon so quickly and they've responded, let's look for the crowd control. We Will Fail has landed some very good death sentences previously. He's going to look to swing it up and wide again. Oh,
it's a good play onto Youngbuck there, who's going to be hooked in as well. He's going to pull, but I'm not sure it's enough to get him away. Flash will be, though, but there's a Dragon diving over the wall. It was, in fact, the spear from Selfie, which secured them the kill just after that. The Copenhagen Wolves had a little bit of map play to try and go for that inner turret, didn't get it, and in the end, they lose the Dragon. They also lose 2 men.
Yeah, the thing is, Copenhagen Wolves are still split up in the jungle. If Supa Hot Crew can group together or find somebody, this could be even worse. Well, we do see the Selfie's going to throw a spear in a second, doesn't connect, but look at the difference. You've got Unlimited over by the red buff, he's split. Copenhagen Wolves have got pretty good vision, but the Supa Crew undecided. They've now caught Airwax.
Oh, they've caught Airwax out here, who's only just come back into this one. Impaler gonna dive forward. Has he got the damage? The Cullen not quite got the range of it. Will if Airwax turns around, which he does, and Selfie now on a killing spree. They've got free reign on the inning turret as well.
Copenhagen Wolves needed to have backed away. They stuck around and they split up. Copenhagen Wolves chased a kill super early in the game against Mr. Raz, gave up 3 kills, gave up Dragon. Now, they've milled about in the Super Hot Crew jungle. Airwax has been caught because, I mean, let's be honest now, Airwax should have known they were there. The rest of the team had spotted they'd been playing the dancing game for a few minutes, and unfortunately, he just finds his untimely demise. It gives Super Hot Crew now a very good tool to work with. I want to expand on my Mima split pushing point because he hasn't done it. He's 1v1 Youngbuck often leading up to that point. That's very good damage, but Mima has not been applying tower pressure with this Shyvana. If he did, it would force Copenhagen Wolves to respond, which would open other objectives for the Super Hot Crew. So now with Super Minions, let's see if Mima's going to have the tools to do it.
Well, it is a problem here for the Copenhagen Wolves. They also lost a bit of the jungle on the bottom side of the map as well. As the Super Hot Crew evacuated, the wards going down towards Baron now as well, which, while the Super Hot Crew have probably got still a few visions, most of them probably nightmares of starting off the Baron and against the Ziggs on the enemy team, of course, referring back to that Millennium game and the great steal that came out of Kerp. Not something that they'll miss, oh, you'd hope so. Not a second mistake that they'd make in 2 weeks.
I would like to think not. We actually seen in the build-up videos over the course of the day, the team talking about it and saying, you know, I was coming to Smite, and Impaler being very disappointed in himself, and the team actually. So, as it stands, I think Super Hot Crew have been executing very well against this defensive siege or defending champion of Ziggs. But unfortunately, as we said, you can never ever discount that wave clear. So Super Hot Crew continually just need to find those picks, and every time they have, they've capitalized. So Kaltog, just don't get caught. That's key.
Do not get caught. One spear can change all of that. If we look as well at Nidley's Selfie, 305 death cap. He's got himself the Zhonya's Hourglass, a Void Staff as well on top of his Athene's Unholy Grail start. That is a lot of pain that those spears bring. I'm
so happy to see Mima finally split pushing properly. He's getting down to this inner turret. The rest of Super Crew, they're caught, and that's a lot of damage from Warlight.
Lantern coming out though, and we say a lot of damage, but we always somehow discount the fact that Nidley's heal is massive as the Solar Flare comes down, only really slowing 2 of them though. Selfie will get knocked against the wall, and there is the heal once again coming out. Mikhail's Crucible was used that time, and look at this. Mima is split pushing this time around. The Super Hot Crew have bought enough time for him to take the inner tower.
And Super Hot Crew can immediately roll to the top lane. They have Mima in the bottom with minions. There is a massive wave in the top lane that is filtering down to that inner turret, and Mima can 1v1 Youngbuck, no problem. So Copenhagen Wolves have sent probably the wrong person to defend this. Teleport's not available yet, so Youngbuck's also going to be held back from that regard as well.
So, will it be a deja vu moment here for the Super Hot Crew? The ultimate of Kaltard is up. It's come too early. It's too early for them this time. The Super Hot Crew will be happy to see that ultimate already being used, but still the damage from Kaltard raining in. Doesn't matter. Super Hot Crew got Baron. Unlimited's going to fall down. Airwax off to the side will give his ultimate to Warlight, but it's not going to matter too much. Airwax himself going low, and Mima is just hammering away on the rat, stopping Warlight from being involved and even killing him in the end. There's Airwax going down. 3-0 for the Super Hot Crew, plus the Baron.
This should be a game. There are so many people on Super Hot Crew's side, along with the Baron buff and the fact they have super minions in that middle lane. This should give them all of the map control they need to close this one out. You'll see this 30-second death timer, so they're not going to go for the Nexus turret yet, but if they get this top inhibitor down and roll around to the middle inhibitor, which will respawn in about 15 or 20 seconds, that is going to allow Super Hot Crew just immense map presence. They've done such a good job at forcing Copenhagen Wolves' hand. Then once the Copenhagen Wolves respond and have over-responded, it's just been punished by the Super Hot Crew.
Super minions have already come in. Luckily for the Wolves here, that inhibitor is respawned, which is bit of a distraction if nothing else for now. That's 2 inhibs down, 1 Nexus turret has already fallen. The Super Hot crew doing the easy choice here of just rotating around to the bottom lane. Minions already pushing in from that one. They should be able to have the 3rd one away as well.
The timing, 75% of counter from a single spear. Oh, they've been caught.
They've gone for it. This is a big fight. We Will Fail are going to go down low, and Limited will fall as well. Mima right in the middle of the team is causing so many problems. They're going to lose one after the other as Cowtown is now being jumped on as well. And that will be 3 men down already. Airwax can't quite get off to the fountain, and that is an ace for the Super Hot crew. They don't need to care about that bottom inhibitor. They go straight over to the Nexus, take down the turrets. The Nexus itself will follow, and the Super Hot crew in less than 40 minutes taking out the Copenhagen Wolves.
Very strong performance from the Super Hot crew. It was a little touch and go in the early stages of the game, but once they found their stride, they continually forced the Copenhagen Wolves to react. That's the best way to summarize this game. Is Super Hot crew made plays that Copenhagen Wolves needed to counter, and when the Copenhagen Wolves countered, they didn't do it efficiently or effectively, and Supa Hot Crew punished them for it.
There were some other things in there. Youngbook, again, I want to point out, we talked about how his Lulu didn't have that big of an impact. His Vladimir last week against Fnatic 0-6-1. This time around 0-3-4. We thought he was going to get to a position where he was scary, but what actually happened was that he ended up pulling every single time to avoid a hook, a cocoon, a spear coming out of Nidalee. And quite frankly, at that stage of the game, Youngbook wasn't able to do anything because the opposition